We say it every year, but we'll say it again. When rivalry week rolls around, you throw records out the window. And that exactly was the case this last weekend. What a phenomenal way to wrap up the regular season of college football. We saw some instant classics. We saw some massive upsets. We saw some very, very near and close upsets. It was everything you'd want in a rivalry week and more. And of course, guys, we're here to break down everything from this last weekend and get you ready for Conference Championship weekend, as we are now just 1 week away from Selection Sunday. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including all of our expert picks here, guys. It's been an amazing year here at the Gridiron Expert. Look at these numbers. 6-4 against the spread this week, another winning week, another 60% week, hitting over 60% of our bets on the year, 81-52 against the spread. No other outlet is getting that high of a mark. No other outlet is offering that low of a price for their picks, and we're doing it again. We're beating out the competition again with our holiday special, $34.99. If you go sign up for those today, you get all of our conference championship spread picks, all of our college football bowl game spread picks, and all of our NFL playoff picks for $34.99. That's over 80 picks. We can guarantee a winning record. We're hitting over 60% again this year, and we can guarantee that no record's gonna beat us, no outlet's gonna beat us, and no outlet's gonna offer as low of a price as we're offering those picks. So go sign up for those today, guys. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. Our money line picks have been killing it too. 31-5 in a rivalry week. All these upsets, all these close games, we went 31-5 on the money line. That brings our money line record on the year to 81.5%, 422-96. Again, no one else is hitting that type of mark in the entire country. Nobody. So go sign up today. Join our GE Nation. Another great week here, and what a great way for us to wrap up the regular season. Let's dive into the recap, shall we? We're going to bounce around a lot. We'll start with the biggest game of the weekend, right? We said it was the biggest game of the weekend. We said maybe it was the biggest game of the year. Number 2, Ohio State. At number 3, Michigan. As Gus Johnson on the broadcast continuously said, this was the first college football playoff game. Because that's basically what it was. It had the feel of a playoff game. The winner of this was going to the playoff. The loser, more than likely, going to be out. It had all the makings of an instant classics, and that's exactly what it was. Michigan prevailing in the game, 30-24. What a game. Breaking it down step by step here. This looked like a game that could have been a runaway, right? Michigan came out firing on all cylinders, jumped out to a 14-3 lead after scoring that first touchdown from the Kyle McCord interception early in the first quarter. But it was only a 14-10 game at halftime. That was it. Ohio State kind of settled down. They made the game at half, although they missed a field goal right before halftime, which is one that kind of came back to bite them later. We'll get to that shortly. Ohio State ended up tying the game midway through the third quarter, but right after Zach Zinter got hurt. Huge loss for the All-American guard on Michigan's offensive line, losing him. The very next play, they went to the left. Blake Corum, 22-yard touchdown run on the very next play. Talk about poetic irony for Ohio State. Talk about poetic irony for Michigan. Talk about a statement there to give Michigan the lead. Ohio State made a 27-24 game with 8 minutes left, but then Michigan drew out a 7-minute long drive. The Wolverines continued just to pound the rock, end up kicking that field goal with about 1:05 left to get up 30-24. Kyle McCord looked like he might lead the game-winning drive, ultimately threw another interception, his second of the day. Michigan walked away with the victory. And you look at this game, guys, Ohio State was not physical enough to stop the Wolverines. The Wolverines had 156 rushing yards. We're averaging 4 yards per carry. The Buckeyes, on that final drive for Michigan, could not get off the field. They could not stop the Wolverines. First down after first down after first down. And just the clock just kept ticking away, ticking. And that field goal was huge, 30-24. That missed field goal right before half. Keep in mind, Ohio State made the field goal, but Michigan iced them. The practice kick was good. The real kick was no good. Bit of karma there. I never like kickers taking those practice kicks. I think it starts to get in your head a little bit. That was crucial because Ohio State could have played a little bit more safe down the stretch, maybe settled for overtime, and who knows what would have happened. But regardless, Michigan, guys, wins this game, goes undefeated in the regular season again. They're going to the Big Ten Championship. They're going to beat Iowa. They will be back in the college football playoff. And let's keep in mind, they've won their last 3 games, including this win over Ohio State, without Jim Harbaugh. Unbelievable for Michigan. Sherrone Moore, congratulations to him. He deserves it. What a run for him these last few weeks. Ryan Day, yeah, he's on the hot seat. You might think that's a crazy thing to say, but look, Ohio State expects to beat Michigan. Ohio State expects to contend for championships, none of which will happen this year. Ryan Day now drops to 1-3 in his career against the Wolverines, and one of those losses just now came to an interim head coach. So a bad look for the Buckeyes that look to be missing out on the college football playoffs, barring any crazy chaos that happens this next week. Michigan heading back. The question is now, can they get to that national championship game? But what a game in Ann Arbor. What a game on the Plains. There's a new prayer at Jordan-Hare. It's been about, 10 years since we've had that? 10 years since we had the original prayer at Jordan-Hare. Well, now there's a new one, but it doesn't go to the Auburn Tigers. It goes to the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, Auburn, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? How do you let that happen? The Tigers playing Alabama as close as they did a week after getting annihilated by New Mexico State, I think that was a shock for everybody. But the fact that Auburn looked like they were going to beat Alabama, that was even a bigger shock. The Tigers are up 24-20. They were set to get the ball back with under 5 minutes left and muff the punt. So Alabama immediately gets favorable field position at the Auburn 30-yard line. They slowly, a couple penalties here and there, slowly march to the Auburn 7. It looked like Alabama was destined to take that lead, take a touchdown. Auburn have a few minutes left to go win the game. But then the bad snap backed Alabama up 18 yards. They went from the 7-yard line to the 26-yard line. Then Jalen Milroe lost his mind, went past the line of scrimmage, backed up behind the line of scrimmage, threw an incomplete pass. That's a penalty and a loss of down. So Alabama was facing a 4th and goal from the 31. 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. And, there's no way. There's no way. And Jalen Milroe had all the time in the world in the pocket to throw and hit a perfectly thrown ball to Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone to seal the win. Unbelievable. Not just the play of the day, maybe one of the plays of the year, one of the more iconic plays in Iron Bowl history, and will soon be one of the more iconic plays in college football history. Mark my words. 4th and goal from the 31-yard line with your playoff hopes on the line. Alabama loses. They still go to the SEC championship, but the playoff hopes are gone. They needed this win to keep them alive, and they deliver. Auburn choked big time down the stretch. An unbelievable game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Alabama guys, they were dominating the game. They forced 3 turnovers. They held Auburn to 93 passing yards. They made, allowed Auburn to rush for 244, sure, but it felt like they should have run away with this game. Auburn did everything in their power to stay in it. Should have won and choked. I guess, the karma and the luck runs out every 10 years or so. They got those miraculous wins against Georgia and Alabama with the kick 6 and the prayer at Jordan-Hare back in 2013. And I guess 10 years later, those things are going to be reversed. I don't know. It was an unbelievable finish, though. Unbelievable way to wrap up the second biggest rivalry in college football. Michigan-Ohio State was a classic. Right after that, Alabama-Auburn was a classic. That alone would have been a great enough day and a great enough weekend of college football. But there was more. We're going to the Friday games. How about Tulane? Shout out to them. 11-1 on the year, beating UTSA 29-16. The Tulane defense forcing 5 turnovers against the Roadrunners. They also had 227 rushing yards on the day. Look, guys, the Green Wave are the real deal. We knew that last year. We knew that this year. 11-1. They're hosting the American Championship again. They will be hosting SMU. And if Tulane beats SMU, they will go back to another New Year's Six Bowl game. They'll be 12-1. What a year for Willie Fritz. What a year for Michael Pratt. What a year for Tulane. Back-to-back seasons with this type of success. That's unprecedented, especially for a Group of 5 program. So congratulations to them and their big win. The American Championship is going to be must-see TV this coming Saturday. Also on Friday, number 6 Oregon destroying number 16 Oregon State. And look, we told you back in our prediction video, Oregon State never stood a chance. We said it was going to get ugly. We said Oregon was going to dominate. A lot of people thought we were crazy. A lot of people thought we were haters. You do you, man. We know ball. Guess you don't. Because Oregon State, again, never stood a chance. They were down 21-7 at halftime. Bo Nix was just flying high, having fun out there. Looked like a playground session out there against that Oregon State defense. 33 for 40, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Ducks outgained the Beavers by 207 yards, and that sets up the winner-takes-all in the Pac-12 championship between Washington and Oregon. The rematch we were all hoping to see. Winner wins the Pac-12, goes to the college football playoff. Loser falls just short in the final year of the conference. And that game for Oregon, huge for them, huge for Oregon State as well, because we didn't know it necessarily at the time, but that was the last game of the Jonathan Smith era in Corvallis. The very next day, Jonathan Smith leaving Oregon State to take the head coaching job at Michigan State. Many people thought, why? Why would you do that? Leaving your alma mater where you were starting to have success to go to Michigan State, a sinking ship. Well, Oregon State, in a way, is a sinking ship. They don't have a home for college football. Jonathan Smith saw the writing on the wall. As much as he probably loves Corvallis, he knew that he needed to go to a situation in school that had somewhat stability, at least within their own conference. Oregon State won't have that next year. It was probably a hard move for him to make, but one that was right for him. Oregon State now searching for their new coach and searching for a home for the 2024 season. Back into Saturday, number 10, Louisville. Look, I was hoping for some chaos, man. I was hoping Louisville would win, and then we'd have a top 10 showdown, the ACC championship game, and then if Louisville maybe beat Florida State and then had some extra help, maybe Louisville could make a case for making the college football playoff. Well, those dreams were shattered for the Cardinals. Those dreams are shattered for me, unfortunately. Not a Louisville fan, by the way. Just I like chaos. Ruined on Saturday when Kentucky upset the Cardinals on the road, 38-31. This was the prime example that we're talking about. Throw records out the window. 10-1 Louisville, 6-5 Kentucky. Louisville dominating at home all year long. Kentucky, one of the worst offenses in the country. There was no way, right? Well, there was. How? Louisville outgained Kentucky 403 yards to 289. They held Kentucky to 83 rushing yards on the day, but Kentucky took advantage of the opportunities when they were given to them. They had a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and they scored 10 points off of turnovers in the second half. It went from a 24-14 lead for Louisville to a 31-24 deficit for Louisville in just a little under 9 minutes. That's crazy. What a crazy turn of events. Louisville just could not shooting themselves in the own foot. They find a while to tie the game up. Kentucky battles right back, scores the game-winning touchdown with 1:02 left to seal a 7-5 season, to seal the upset, to seal their 5th straight victory over the Cardinals. Big-time win. Louisville still going to the ACC championship, but a heartbreaking loss for them. The question now is, more than anything, was that the last game for Mark Stoops at Kentucky? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Rumor has it that he will be leaving for Texas A&M. He's the leading candidate, and they were watching that game very closely. Going on the road to beat a rival, a top 10 rival. Very, very impressive. He's had great success with the Wildcats. Maybe it's time for a new change of scenery after being there for over 10 years. Watch out for that news over these next couple of days, but it looks like he might be heading to College Station. What a way to end his career with the Wildcats, if that certainly is the case. How about Big 12 real quick? Number 20, Oklahoma State. They are heading to the Big 12 championship after a 40-34 win over BYU in double overtime. Credit to Mike Gundy and the Cowboys, man. This team has been through it all. Got annihilated by South Alabama early in the year. They were left for dead. They beat Kansas State. They beat Kansas. They beat Oklahoma. They get annihilated by UCF. They have to battle back against Houston last week. They've just been so inconsistent. They're down 24-6 to BYU. Looks like all hope is lost. Battle back. Take the lead, but their PAT is blocked. So instead of being up 28-24, it's 27-24, which allowed BYU to go down there, tie the game, send it to overtime. They trade blows in overtime. Oklahoma State scores first in the second overtime and then fumbles, forces a BYU fumble in the second, seals the win, which sends them to the Big 12 championship to take on Texas. And shout out to Ollie Gordon, man. He's a guy that's not going to get a Heisman invitation, but he should. He has been on fire this season. 166 yards and scored all 5 of Oklahoma State's touchdowns in the game. This guy is an absolute beast, and he's going to be tough for Texas to stop in that Big 12 championship game. That's going to be a fun game. We'll be breaking that one down here in a few days. But Oklahoma State advancing, preventing us from seeing an Oklahoma-Texas Big 12 championship with their final year in the conference. The Apple Cup, number 4 Washington surviving Washington State 24-21. More so here, credit to Washington State. Seriously, credit to the Cougars, man. They always had an answer for the Huskies. A Huskies team that was about a 16-point favorite entering the game could never pull away from their in-state rival. Washington State tied the game with under 6 minutes remaining, but they had too many mistakes. This is probably a game the Cougars should have won. A Cam Ward interception earlier in the game led to a Washington touchdown. Washington State missed a field goal that would have given them a 17-14 lead. That led to a Washington touchdown just 7 plays later and gave them that 21-14 lead. They had a chance with under 5 minutes remaining to go down there and take the lead when the game was tied. Couldn't do it. They got all the way to the Washington 44, couldn't get any further, gave the Huskies the ball back, and Washington kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired to win 24-21. So Jake Dickert and the Cougars gave it their all. They came so close to pulling off the upset and shaking up the college football playoff race, but fell just short. Washington, they've looked wildly unimpressive since their win over Oregon about a month ago. Now the question is, can they beat Oregon again in the Pac-12 championship game? That is going to be one of the best games of the week. We'll have our prediction for that coming out later here in just a few days, so don't miss out on that. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our pick for that game. But Washington, Oregon, the rematch, and Oregon already a heavy favorite despite having lost to Washington earlier in the year. And despite the game being at a neutral site, a heavy favorite over the Huskies. Something to watch out for. And then finally, number 5, Florida State. They keep their playoff hopes alive, defeating Florida 24-15. This was a battle between 2 backup quarterbacks, right? Graham Mertz was out for Florida. Jordan Travis was out for Florida State. We said this was going to be a battle that came down to running backs, wide receivers, and defense. Which one of those guys is going to make a play? Ultimately, we said it would be Florida State, and ultimately, we were right. Florida jumped out to a 12-0 lead. Roadmaker didn't look settled in for Florida State. The Seminoles looked out of whack. They were down 12-7 at halftime, but they took the lead for good with 7:17 remaining in the fourth quarter, and then Trey Benson delivered the dagger on a 26-yard touchdown run with just a little under 3 minutes remaining to put the Seminoles up 24-15. Florida ends the year at 5-7, their second straight losing season under Billy Napier. Will he make it to next year? Time will tell, but Florida State advances the ACC championship. As we knew, they are undefeated, and if they win that, despite the loss of Jordan Travis, they will be in the college football playoff. It's a little too close for comfort. They're not nearly as good as a team without Jordan Travis, but they deserve the credit for going on the swamp to getting this win. They deserve the credit, and they deserve to make the playoff if they do, in fact, beat Louisville on Saturday. But credit to the Seminoles for surviving their in-state rival. Florida, just too many self-inflicted wounds. A very undisciplined team. 8 penalties for 90 yards, many of them very costly. Florida State took advantage of those, pulled away for the win. So there you go, guys. Week 13, it's in the books. Rivalry week, it's in the books. You couldn't ask for a better way to end the regular season. So many great games. The game between Michigan and Ohio State was phenomenal. The Iron Bowl was phenomenal. And everything else in between. That's what makes college football so great. That's what makes it so unpredictable. That's what makes it so chaotic. And that is why we love it. Conference Championship Weekend is coming up. We will have predictions for those starting on Tuesday. And then we have Selection Sunday. A week from today, we will know who's in the playoff, who's in the New Year's Six Bowl games, who's going bowling. We will have all those answers to you next Sunday. And then bowl predictions will start right after that. So we've got a lot of content coming up. Do not miss out on it. And how will you not miss out on it? By liking, by commenting, by subscribing, by checking out everything down in the description below, including the holiday special that will give you the spread picks for every single one of the remaining college football games this year, plus every NFL playoff game. Do not miss out on that. Go sign up today. Best picks in the country, best record in the country, lowest prices in the country. No one else is going to give you that. Go sign up to become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.